A team of researchers and their hired adventurer/guide are set on a journey to find the mysterious town of Shukun Hills. However, upon finding what they are looking for, they realize that they should not have looked for it at all. This is the 2021 horror film directed by Bradley Parker, The Devil Below, also known as Shukun Hills. At the coal mining facility at the town of Shukun Hills, a father and son named Paul and Eric are talking about a miner who was being tardy and nearly put the other miners in danger. Due to this, Paul, who turns out to be the co-founder of Shukun Hills Mining Company, wants to fire him, but his son points out that the miner's brother is sick and that he needs this job. In that sense, Eric asks his father to allow him to talk to the miner, stating that talking to him might straighten his work etiquette. Without answering his son's request, Paul tells him to get their tools because they are leaving now. However, something suddenly grabs Eric and he screams for his father's help. Acting quickly, Paul runs to his son and grabs his hands to pull him away from the unidentified attacker. Unfortunately, the attacker hits him, resulting in him accidentally letting go of Eric as the attacker drags his son away while continuously screaming for help. This is then followed by a big incident that the world perceives as a simple case of environmental disaster, not knowing a horrifying truth behind it. Many years later, an adventurer/guide named Ariane is hired by a man named Darren for her to take him and his team to the mysterious town of Shukun Hills, which after the incident suddenly vanishes at the maps as if it was erased from existence. Darren wants to uncover the truth about the town, its coal mining facility, and the incident that results in Shukun Hills' current status. After researching the place and finding the best route to take, at least one that will take them close to the missing town, Ariane meets with Darren and his team. Darren is a geology professor from a prestigious university that he said funded this research expedition for them. His team consists of Sean, who is another geologist, Harry, who will be their technician, and lastly, Jane, who is assigned to keep the group safe. Over a few hours of driving, Terry notices that it has been quite some time since they passed the freeway, so he asks if Ariane is sure where she is taking them. Not minding the man's question, Ariane continues driving until they stop at a hardware store. There, she asks the attendant if he knows the exact way to Shukun Hills, but he says he has no idea what she is talking about. Knowing that the man is lying, Ariane repeats her question, slightly changing it into a safe way to get to Shukun Hills. At this time, the attendant insists that the safest route they can take is if they turn around to go back to the freeway and go home. Because of that, Ariane goes back to the men, not empty-handed as she knows that the attendant's demeanor means that they are nearing their destination. However, as she leaves the store, the attendant radios a man named Dale and alerts him about Ariane and her company. Shortly after, Ariane and the team are already being followed by Dale, so she drives fast in an attempt to lose him. Then, as they get away, she notices from the rearview mirror that the car chasing them slows down. Yet, she continues hitting the road and hides during a turn until they see that the car drives past them. Feeling stressed, Terry asks what just happened, to which Ariane answers that they were aggressively escorted past where Shukun Hills. She explains that her father was an adventurer/guide as well, so he taught her that once an escort slows down, it means they are checking if their target has gone through the place they are guarding. And with that, Ariane drives back to where the escort slowed down and asks the men to check the side of the road for a path or an opening. Just then, they find one and go through there until they reach a gate, proving that Ariane was right. However, the gate is electrified so they cannot enter easily. Checking on it, Sean wonders why there is an active electrical fence in the middle of nowhere, causing him to worry. Meanwhile, Ariane throws a rope over a tree so they can climb their way over the gate. A few hours pass again, and it is getting dark already, so Ariane decides that they should settle in for the night and just continue tomorrow. Upon setting up camps and a fire, Jane asks if there are things he should be worrying about in their expedition for him to be prepared to protect them. In turn, Darren says that there could be sinkholes since they are common in mining areas. Hearing this, Jane questions if he thinks that sinkholes are the reason why Shukun Hills is now erased from existence. Yet, Darren is not sure about it because there was also a fire and he does not know or even comprehend where it could originate. On the other hand, Sean thinks that it is more than just a sinkhole or a fire. According to him, there is a theory that coal mining is just a cover-up for a darker secret, which is America's response to the well to hell. At this time, Sean talks about the Kola borehole in Siberia. He explains that the Russians decided to drill the deepest hole in the world, managing to dig up to 8 miles straight down until the drill got broken. Then, they lowered a heat-resistant microphone and recorded creepy and terrifying growling noise down there. Sean plays the sound so Jane can hear it, but Darren states that it was nothing but an echo of grinding tectonic plates. So since the Shukun Hills incident, there has been a theory that the American government did the same drilling in the said town. And this theory is fueled by the mystery of how the town and its people could just vanish. At this moment, Darren and Sean start to argue. Darren does not want to incorporate any conspiracy theory in their expedition, while Sean does not want to cross out the possibility that there are pieces of truth in these theories and myths that they can use to uncover the truth about Shukun Hills. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the woods, Dale finds a broken electrical fence. Shortly, two more locals, a woman named Shelby and a man, arrive. Upon checking on it, the man says that he can still fix it, but he does not know if it will still last long. Because of that, Shelby radios another local to warn him that they are getting out and orders him to check his zones. Looking at the fence-covered hole, the man puts his ear next to it, stating that he can hear them referring to devils. Unfortunately, the poor man meets his end when a devil attacks him and pierces his head. Going back to the others, another man shows up where they are. Shelby asks Dale if he told him, but Dale states he does not need to. It is then revealed that the man is none other than Paul himself, who turned out to survive the attack many years ago. He asks Dale where the outsiders are, referring to Ariane and the others, to which he says he scared them good. Hearing this, Paul tells him that he wanted them gone, no matter what it takes. Going back to the group, Ariane sees Jane picking up her knife, so she scolds him to hand it back. Realizing her rudeness, she apologizes and reasons that she just does not want anyone touching it, implying that the knife has sentimental value for her. At the same time, Terry asks Darren where he knew Ariane. According to him, a friend of his recommended her as she managed to take him where he wanted to go despite her rough attitude. Terry then realizes that Ariane has been traveling for so long and thinks that she might be avoiding going home on purpose. Afterward, Darren approaches Ariane to thank her for her service. Unexpectedly, she does not accept his gratitude, pointing out that she has not taken them to Shukun Hills yet. Because of this, Darren asks if she wants to help them in their mission as well, considering her expertise and resourcefulness. However, Ariane declines, reasoning that she will not be of any help to them except to find the town that they are looking for. In turn, she asks him what he expects to find in this expedition. Darren then says he is hoping to find anthracite, an ultra-high-grade rock that is said to burn like nothing else. He explains that if he can get his hands on it, he can examine it and maybe find the answer as to what truly happened in Shukun Hills to prevent the same thing from happening to other places in the future. According to him, no matter how big the fire is, no town or people will vanish just like that, so he believes that there is more to the truth than meets the eye. The next day, the group continues on their way, noticing several active speakers from one point to another. Jane wonders what those are for, but Darren thinks they are just warning systems for gas leaks. Then, they see a hole that is covered with a fence that is blowing smoke. They are about to examine it when Ariane notices that a car is coming, so they hide immediately. Looking at it, one of the men recognizes the car as the one following them yesterday, forcing them to keep on moving before they get caught. Shortly after, they finally find Shukun Hills, and as they wander around, they get to see the infamous mining site in person. Due to excitement, the group quickly makes their way to the center where a big sinkhole is. Ariane also accepts Darren's gratitude as she finally completes her job by taking them to the town and the mining site. Standing right next to it, Darren and Sean hug as they are finally closer to the truth than ever before. With that, they get to work and remove part of the cover to lower a scanner down the hole. At first, Terry is getting nothing, but it does not take long before he finds what they are looking for, which is anthracite. Hearing this, the team celebrates, but all of a sudden, a deafening noise blasts into Terry's ears. Playing the audio for the others to hear it, a creepy growling noise is coming down the hall. Just then Terry, who accidentally got his foot caught in the loop of the scanner, gets dragged down the hole, shocking everyone. Acting quickly, Jane and Ariane gear up and climb down the hole to look for him. To make matters worse, Dale finds the other two and points a gun at them. Seeing that they opened a hole, Dale freaks out and confronts them about it, cutting the ropes of Ariane and Jane. Because of that, Sean is forced to attack Dale, knocking him out of the process. Meanwhile, the two down there fail to find Terry. At this time, Ariane sees in the scanner that the gas level in the area is skyrocketing, forcing them to leave without Terry. Luckily, Darren and Sean have extra ropes, allowing the two to get out of the hole safely. Ariane sees Dale and asks what happened, so Darren fills her in. In turn, Sean looks for Terry, but they did not see him. At this time, he questions what was that thing that pulled Terry, but none of them knows the answer. Due to that, they get into Dale's car and get away to save themselves, despite not wanting to leave the unconscious man behind. In the car, Darren and Sean argue again as the latter blames Darren for bringing them here. Yet, Darren just states that Sean is just as obsessed with Shookham Hills as he is. Just then, Sean reveals that Darren has received 5 official warnings for scientific misconduct from 3 universities already. He also adds that it must not be Cambridge that is funding the expedition. Annoyed, Ariane tells them to stop, just in time for the car to hit another hole. Because of that, they are forced to continue on foot until the sun sets on them. However, their horror is just beginning as they get attacked by the devils of Shookham Hills. From what they see, it is like a humanoid creature with a big round head and a big round mouth full of sharp fangs. One of them gets Sean, so the remaining 3 run for their lives. By good fortune, they run into a truck where Shelby is rescuing them. As it turns out, when Dale woke up, he managed to report that there was a breach, but he, unfortunately, died after that. Getting into their truck, they bring Ariane, Dale, and James into their safe house. There, they see different sketches of the creatures that attack them, as if the locals are studying them. Finally, they come face to face with Paul. He asks what the group is doing at the mining site, to which Darren explains that they were just conducting academic research. Darren recognizes him as the co-founder of the mining company, but he states that it is not what he does these days anymore. It is then revealed that after the incident, Paul became the leader of the locals who vowed to guard and protect Shookham Hills and the outside world from these creatures that they are calling devils. At this moment, they receive a message from one of their posts, warning them that the devils are already scattered in the woods. Hearing this, Shelby volunteers to find the breach and confronts Darren about which sinkhole they opened. In turn, Ariane volunteers to take her where, saying that they also lost a man there. Because of that, Paul orders Shelby and another local named Elroy to go with the 3 and seal the hole. However, they are not yet getting far, but they get another radio message again, telling them not to leave the safe house anymore because the devils are everywhere now. Looking around, Ariane sees a house up the hill and asks if they can make a run for it. True enough, they hear the devils coming, so Elroy decides to sacrifice himself to buy some time for the others, reasoning that he will just slow them down because of his old age. But even after reaching the house, the devils are still on them, so Jane suggests that they should just fight back, pointing out that Shelby has a rifle. She, on the other hand, insists that she cannot just use it recklessly because the devils are attracted to noises. Shelby also reminds them not to let the devils grab them, explaining that they can paralyze people. And if that happens, the devils will take them down the hole and do horrible things to them. Luckily, they find an entrance to an underground tunnel right under the house that the 4 of them use to escape. But with the devils closing in, Shelby makes the sacrificial play this time by creating a diversion so Ariane, Darren, and Jane can continue without the devils coming after them. Yet, as they look for the exit back to the surface, the other devils find them. Asking for the grenade, Jane plans to slow them down. However, his plan fails as one of the devils gets to him, causing him to drop the bomb and get caught up in the explosion. Witnessing this, Ariane and Darren have no other choice but to continue running. After a while, Darren gets exhausted and overwhelmed by what is happening. Ariane tries to encourage him to go on, but he is starting to blame himself for everything that happened. Just then, he confesses that Sean was right, that it was not Cambridge that funded the expedition. The truth is that he was hired by a big private mining company to look for anthracite in exchange for recognition and a big amount of money. Unexpectedly, Ariane does not get angry but turns out to understand him instead. According to her, she had a client that she took to the Himalayas. She was with an experienced climber when an accident happened, but she managed to catch him. They waited for hours but no one came, and they were about to freeze to death. So, for her to survive, she cut the rope using her knife and let the man die. Both of them are or had been selfish in one way or the other. Yet, she promises that she will not leave him here to die. With that, she gives him the last grenade they have as she is about to go alone and look for help. However, it does not take long before the devils catch up to her and paralyze her. Concurrently, Paul and the other locals are waiting at a gate, ready to face a horde of the devil who is trying to break out of Shookham Hills. Going back to Ariane, she wakes up and sees that Darren is also caught as well. But to her surprise, Sean is also there and is still alive. According to him, the creatures are not devils, but just an alternative species that acts and works like ants and bees. Just then, Ariane witnesses how the creatures grab Sean and feed him to their queen. Acting immediately, Darren tries his best to kick the grenade to Ariane despite being paralyzed. And when the creatures grab her to be their queen's next snack, Darren sounds his alarm to distract the creatures that are holding her. She then takes the opportunity to throw the bomb inside the queen, killing it. Afterward, she runs to Darren and they escape as fast as they can until he finally regains control of his body. Fortunately, they find the sinkhole from the mining site where the rope is still connected on the outside. The two climb on it, but the creatures are already catching up. One of them follows Darren and grabs onto his foot. At this time, Ariane pulls her knife, not to cut Darren off, but to give it to him so he can kill the creature. Darren tries to do so, but he fails. Knowing that they will fall any minute now, Darren cuts himself off, taking Ariane by surprise. Continuing her way up, a man appears by the hole, so she asks him for help. However, the man has other intentions and apologizes as he tries to cut her rope. Luckily, Paul shows up and decides to help her. Afterward, he takes her away while the other locals burn the creatures that are following her. On their way to the gate where she and the others left their car, Ariane asks why don't they tell the truth to the public, to which Paul casually says that the public is not ready for that kind of truth just yet. In this sense, he and the other locals of Shookham Hills vowed to fight the devils until they finish them or the devils finish them. And to her shock, he formally asks her if she wants to join their fight. Thinking about it, Ariane states that she needs to go back to the car. The movie ends with Ariane getting the rope they used to climb over the fence and riding Paul's car again, saying that they will be needing it in their battle. Upon watching the film, it feels very familiar. Then you will realize that it's one of those movies that have a monster underground till the locals call or think that it's Devil's Plot. But despite having a generic flow of the story, The Devil Below, Shookham Hills is still a fun movie to watch. It is just your regular popcorn movie on a weekend night.